Cool. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Kelly Marie Francis tōku ingoa, e noho atu ana ki ihu mātou. Anei tōku pepeha, ko whiria tōku maunga, ko pauka tōku awa, ko hokianga whakapau, karakia tōku moana, ko ngā toki mata whaurua tōku waka, ko rāhiri tōku tūpuna, ko ngāpū tōku iwi. Ko Ngāti Wharara rawa ko Ngāti Korokoro, rawa ko te pauka te hapu, ko Pākanai tōku marae, ko Netana rawa ko Mātu tōku whānau, ko Kelly Koao. So, kia ora everybody, my name is Kelly Marie Francis. I currently live in Ihu Mātou, grew up in Manurewa, but I'm from and all of my bones are buried in Opinoni, Northland. I have been residing in Ihu Mātou for just over 2 years, and we are currently sitting in my grand caravan palace, which is sitting on a paddock that we reclaimed 2 weeks ago. At the beginning of October 2019, and I am a kaitiaki or a Whenua Warrior, and I plan to assist making this whenua a space that our people can thrive from, and one of my passions is community connection, but also marakai. So the use of whenua after the political stance in Ihu Mātou is one of my biggest passions and things that I look forward to right now. At the moment we have approximately 20 to 30 people living here as ahikau, as kaitiaki of Ihu Mātou. We have whakamoemiti every day, and Sundays being our day of whakamoemiti. We have community and manuhiri coming in here and there, but it's quite a dramatic difference of what our first few weeks were of this phase of the occupation. We are all calm, we are all surviving, we are self-sufficient to a point where we're feeding ourselves and each other, keeping warm, keeping dry, and working together as a hapu, basically. That's where we're at physically on the land. In a political sense, we are waiting for word back from the Crown. There is an option on the table with the kingitanga being involved with the purchase of the land, but to be honest, my focus is always on the whenua itself and the people that are living on it, and is why I comment more on how the people are surviving here rather than the political aspect. In saying that, we do have a political team who are well informed and are knowledgeable on the goals that have been set for us to work toward in Ihu Mātou, and until those are solidified, our goal here is to survive together as a hapu, and to assert our right to challenge what could be considered status quo on paperwork. And the ways that we do that are by communicating our emotionally charged feelings towards the Corporation of Fletchers being here and coming to build the housing that they've proposed to build in Ihu Mātou. So long story short, we're surviving together. Yeah. Locked-out is it's a not entirely clear way of describing what's happening. There are people who have set roles and responsibilities, and the ahika of the whenua aren't necessarily responsible for any of those sides of conversation. What they're responsible for is continuing the protection and the security of the land physically. The role of ahika are to be here, to live here and to survive here. We do have other groups of people, inclusive of mana whenua, community members, lawyers, who work toward being within that conversation, and to be honest, it's not my forte. So I actually do stay out of those conversations on purpose, because my goal is to work with the whenua and the people, and to learn and to teach people to prioritise that above all. Win is a little bit of a controversial word to use as well. In the way of winning, I feel that every second that we're here, every complete moment that we're here since the sale of this land is a win. And what we are doing now is we're governing full jurisdiction of 2 streets that are owned, maintained and built by council, and it's our governance over these roads that I concentrate on. It's making sure that the safety of our people is paramount and the access to our land is controlled by the people that live here and the people that whakapapa back to here. Those are, in my thoughts, wins in themselves. I reflect on that and see something that's never been accomplished to be able to protect land before. And in my heart, I believe that to be a win. What that looks like on a day-to-day basis is us governing the people who enter this place. We govern who has access in general. We control traffic management and the different levels of different systems that we are challenging just by being here is what my concentration is on, and what I do every day is to try and challenge each and every one of those systems. In that case, I think it's a win. I think people in general can do more. I think that the Māori caucus versus Sally down the road versus an auntie that whakapapas to the place, I think we all have the same responsibility to this land. It's our skill sets and our experiences that will adjust the actions that we're able to make to be able to help protect this land here. In the way of the Māori caucus, I think that their jobs would be quite difficult because this hasn't ever been done before, so there's not a solution we can reflect upon which will easily solve this as an issue. There's not a set of rules or set of laws or set of laws that can answer this completely. So what I think in going forward in general in any role with this whenua is everything needs to be custom made based on our own skill set and our experiences and what we have within us and the connections that we have to be able to source materials or source resources that can help us to continue the protection of this land. Now the Māori caucus, they have skill sets that allow them to access networks and resources that nobody else has. So their responsibility is a big one. But do I look at what they have and haven't done and judge that? No. I believe that everyone has a responsibility to protect this land and everyone needs to reflect on their skill sets to be able to decide their level of involvement. And that is inclusive of the Māori caucus. If we look at it, Indigenous rights movement in general across the entire world, it's a majority wahine led. There's a reason behind that. I feel that the feminine energy is one that can decide clearly how it is going to affect the space, whether that be an auntie telling you to put a jersey on, whether that be a woman standing for Mauna Kea, for West Papua, for the Amazon, for Ihumātao, for all of these spaces. We just stand and receive power differently, which then shapes our thoughts, which shapes our actions, which shapes our outcomes. A wahine-led kaupapa in general it results in different outcomes, and with Indigenousness I think we have a natural level of power that is stored within us and dormant skills that are stored within us that are passed from our tupuna to us, which allow us to see things clearly and to prioritise people and land above all. I think that it won't be long until we all understand that. I'll put it that way. This is, in my mind, I think this is a case of everyone all at once understanding within them their own power. And when you understand within yourself your own power, the things that you struggle with are things that you start solving for yourself. So once you do that one time, you think to yourself, okay, how can I do that again? For my family, for my neighbor, for their family, for my entire community. And it just grows. And I think with all of the issues that we've got and all the statistics that are hitting us, and you know, incarceration rates, suicide rates, literally losing our people, we've all decided that that is not good enough. We've all decided that in no way whatsoever am I going to allow my family to continue suffering. We've also got, you know, domestic violence is at an all-time high. Those statistics can come back from your lack of sense of belonging, right? So the people who are working with incarceration rates, suicide rates, domestic violence rates, mental health issues, addictions, all of these things come from the fact that people are losing their sense of belonging, right? As Māori, as Indigenous in general, our sense of belonging comes from land, and it comes from the ability to sustain land, the necessity of work with land, the outcomes that can be provided via land for mental health, for creation of purpose, for creation of sense of belonging. All of these things are connected, all of them. So can we save our men from committing suicide, or going out and committing a crime and being put into jail, or needing to take pills to calm an illness that they've been told they have? Can we calm all of that by whenua? Yes, we can. We absolutely can. But if we stop fighting for things like ihu mātou and we let this land go and then it gets developed into housing, that in no way is going to solve any of those issues. The statistics will continue to rise. So because that is a direct outcome of land being saved, people who are working in these realms are now understanding why their work is so important. So what I'm trying to say is that having wahine stand up and save land, that will directly affect our tāne who are being made into statistics negatively, because our tāne are now watching our wahine do this, and then they're looking at it and going, okay, well, what can I do? And are becoming more open to the idea of them actually being a part of a solution, and them being a part of a solution that will directly affect their wahine, their whānau, their hapu, their iwi, but also their babies, their auntie, you know, and being able to find a way within themselves to connect back to the land, whether that be hunting, fishing, you know, whether that be building their own whare, whether that be going and having a hautatu. You know, our men are beginning to realise their importance and what their roles and responsibilities are inside the world itself. Not the one that we're trained and educated to believe is the way we need to lead our lives. They're now understanding that if our wahine can lead movements like this, what is my role? They're now asking that question. They're now finding the answer. They're now acting on it. And once they start acting on it, that's when the entire world changes. You know, wahine don't take a lot to make movement. When they're passionate about something, there's a skill inside us that becomes undormant, if that's a word. It becomes awakened inside us, and nothing can stop us, because we are prioritising our people, our land. We are doing it for our babies. We are doing it for our aunties. You know, we're doing it on the basis that our nannies, you know, used to teach us things, and we used to put that aside because it wasn't mainstream education. But now we're not, because we're finding that there are so many things wrong with every single system that we need to start standing up and saying something about it. And when one stands, it replicates and role models through other parts of the system, and another stands, and another, and another, and another. And all of a sudden, all of these things are now being looked after by somebody, and this makes sense. Saving the land now makes sense to a lot of people, because all of these things are connected to it, and that can be prevented. Saving the land is domino one. You know, all of these other statistics and miseducation and systems, financial systems, political systems, all of these things do not directly benefit our people at all. It is the one and only system that we have ever been offered. And what that means is we need to create our own. And with all of these people working with these statistics and all of these ugly numbers and all of these attitudes and addictions and all of these things, all of these people are now realizing what they can do within their part of their system to be able to stop that from happening, to benefit our people and our land. I feel like I have a solid purpose in this world. I feel like my solid purpose in this world is actually relative to our food systems. So I feel like I will be the person that stands on Parliament steps and tells them exactly what it's going to take for us to be a healthier people. And it's going to be a fight that includes people who are connected to land, people who are learning to consider and care about the whakapapa of their food. It's going to be one where it demands that we have the right over our land to grow our own food. There's an innocence about food. The innocence about food is that we all need to eat. We all need to eat to survive. So why is it that we even pay for food? If we all need to do it, how did we get to a point where we're paying for it? And if we find that we're paying for food, it's because someone has put an effort to grow it via land that they are in ownership of. So if we go all the way down to the domino one of that system, of the food system, we'll actually find that the reason why we have to pay for food is because we've had this colonized idea of ownership. Ownership is a colonized idea. It shouldn't be something that was ever introduced to our people, because that's where things start going wrong. Ownership makes you a different class. It puts you into classes of people. So when you own something, it makes it so that somebody else cannot benefit from it. If we remove the idea of ownership, then that is actually where we will all be able to survive equally. We will all be able to see each other equally. We will be able to see land equally. If we remove the idea of ownership in general, then we'll be able to do that. We'll be able to openly and freely feed each other without the issue or the fear of not being able to feed ourselves, because there's no such thing as ownership. Right, and this is what we are currently doing in Ihumātao. We've created a food system where everyone is fed every single night. It's equally. We are all kept warm, we're all kept dry, and that is the way that we are able to assert our aroha within each of the different campsites. We're able to make sure that everyone is comfortably living, and that is how we prioritize people and land over everything else. Because if we're prioritizing people and land, we consider what it is exactly that we have that we can give to each other to allow survival. So, yeah, I think my fight is actually more relative to the food system than the political one. But Pans will have that, so that's all good. She can do the political stuff, I'll do the food system. Someone else will do, incarceration rates and work in there and suicide rates and all of these things. So my fight is going to be the food system.